What if you could reach through the eons and touch a creature that died 500 million years ago? For the earliest fossil hunters, their work was a grand exercise in imagination. They'd find a single bone and have to sketch the entire terrifying animal from that one clue. Most of the time, the remains they uncovered were shattered and incomplete, leaving vast gaps to be filled with pure speculation. But every so often, they would unearth something that defied all expectation. A relic so pristine, it felt less like a fossil and more like a photograph. These are the specimens that offer us a true window into lost worlds, and their stories are more incredible than any fiction. Let's begin with one of Earth's first great success stories. You've probably heard the name, even if you can't quite pronounce it: trilobite. These ancient arthropods exploded in diversity, boasting over 20,000 known species. That's more than all modern bird species combined. They ruled the oceans for hundreds of millions of years, from the Cambrian period onward. And in the deserts of Morocco, we found a population of them that seemed to have perished just yesterday. The story echoes a much more recent tragedy: Pompeii. There, a volcanic eruption entombed a city, preserving the shapes of its victims in ash. Now imagine that same cataclysm, but 500 million years ago. A volcano on the ancient Moroccan coast erupted with unimaginable violence, sending superheated flows into the ocean. A community of trilobites, going about their daily lives, was instantly smothered. The volcanic material didn't just bury them. It encased them in such perfect, three-dimensional detail that we can now study their soft tissues. The force of the flow was so immense, it even injected scalding mud down their throats. A horrifying end for them, but a scientific bonanza for us. This process preserved their entire digestive tracts, revealing anatomical features never before seen. Time's scalpel, wielded by a volcano. We discovered a slit-like mouth and specialized limbs for guiding food. But the preservation didn't stop with the trilobites themselves. Clinging to their shells were other tiny animals, brachiopods that had rooted themselves into the trilobites' bodies using fleshy stalks. It's a frozen moment of an entire ecosystem. And the trilobites' ability to astonish doesn't end there. In New York, a different kind of burial created two more flawless specimens. Frequent mud flows, rich in iron pyrite fools, gold swept across the seafloor. This metallic environment acted as a perfect preservative, capturing two members of the species Trithuris atoni in walking position. They are 100% complete, with their gills, antennae, and even their eggs fossilized in place. It's a level of detail that seems almost impossible. But you don't need thousands of species to create a fossil for the ages. Take Laestrosaurus. This unassuming, dog-sized creature was an unlikely ruler of the early Triassic. In some areas, its bones make up 95% of all fossils found. And in 2022, in South Africa's Karoo Basin, researchers found a Laestrosaurus that redefines well-preserved. It's a 250-million-year-old mummy. I've seen modern roadkill that looked more decayed. The environment it lived in was brutally harsh, with scorching temperatures and relentless drought. Scientists believe this particular animal succumbed to one of these droughts. Its body withered and then naturally mummified in the dry air. This process preserved not just its bones, but the actual texture and wrapping of its skin. The revelation? Though not a true mammal or reptile, its skin was thick and dimpled, more like a rhino's hide than a lizard's scales. And this incredible mummy wasn't alone. 7 others were found nearby, their group death hinting at the immense struggles these resilient animals faced. Sometimes you don't need the whole body to be stunned. Sometimes one piece is enough to send a shiver down your spine. And where was one of the scariest prehistoric discoveries made? You might guess Australia, but you'd be wrong. This one comes from the UK. Today, it's a mild, rainy island, but during the Jurassic, it was a tropical archipelago teeming with monstrous life. In 2022, fossil hunters spotted something staring back from a cliff face. It was a skull, suspended in the rock. And not just any skull, it belonged to a pliosaur, a marine reptile that was the apex predator of its day. This wasn't a fragment. It was the most complete pliosaur skull ever discovered, measuring a staggering 2 meters long. The animal it belonged to would have been longer than a bus. But the most chilling part was its teeth. Despite being 150 million years old, they were so perfectly preserved you could still cut yourself on them. They were serrated knives with grooves designed to pull free from flesh after a bite, allowing for repeated devastating attacks. These teeth weren't fossils. They were still weapons. Analysis showed its bite force was twice that of a large saltwater crocodile. CT scans even revealed intact sensory pits in the skull, showing how it could detect the faintest movement in murky water, and the rest of its colossal skeleton. It's still in that cliff, waiting. What if there was a place where this level of preservation wasn't the exception, but the rule? Welcome to Lagerstätte. This is a sedimentary deposit where conditions were so unique, often oxygen-free, that decay was virtually halted. The most famous of these is the Burgess Shale in the Canadian Rockies. It's a portal to the Cambrian explosion over 508 million years ago. The preservation here is so exquisite, it has its own classification. It's a place where soft-bodied organisms, the stuff that almost never fossilizes, are frozen in the rock. It feels less like paleontology and more like exploring an alien planet. You can find the spiky, worm-like hallucigenia, the enigmatic Otoyo with its frightening proboscis, and the armored Wiwaxia. One specimen of the arthropod Stanleycaris was found with its brain preserved. Its brain. For many, the ultimate fossil fantasy is encased in amber, just like in Jurassic Park, and reality has not disappointed. We found a spider attacking a wasp, a whole salamander, and even a feathered dinosaur tail. In 2015, a collector in Myanmar found a beautiful piece of amber they thought contained plant matter. But when a scientist looked closer, they realized it was the tail of a dinosaur, a non-avian theropod, a cousin to T-Rex. This wasn't a bird. The vertebrae were unfused, creating a long, flexible tail covered in chestnut-brown feathers. The preservation was so perfect that the tail's meat, skin, and feathers were intact. They even found traces of iron in what was once its blood, suggesting it was alive when trapped. This tiny juvenile, no bigger than a sparrow, had met its end in tree resin, gifting us an unparalleled glimpse at a real dinosaur. But if you want the most lifelike preservation of all, you have to go to the cold. Permafrost ground that has been frozen for millennia is a time capsule from the Ice Age, and from the Siberian permafrost. We recovered Yuka. Yuka is a woolly mammoth calf, 39,000 years old, but she looks like she could have died last year. Her body, fur, and even her brain were mummified by the ice. Scientists were able to extract liquid blood from her veins, a first for mammoth research. Tragically, Yuka was just a juvenile, likely trapped and drowned in a swamp before the cold preserved her. But she isn't the Ice Age's champion. That title goes to something even older. In 2018, in Siberia's Batagai crater, tusk hunters found a shape in the mud. As they washed it down, they uncovered an entire foal. This wasn't just bones. It was a complete body with fur, hooves, and even its eyes intact. It was a Lena horse, a species extinct for thousands of years. Inside, its organs were pristine. Researchers found the oldest liquid blood and urine ever discovered. And they didn't just study it. They took cells from the blood and grew tissue in the lab, a monumental step that brings us closer to the dream of de-extinction than ever before. This tough, stocky horse endured temperatures that could freeze a human solid, and thanks to the deep freeze, it has returned to tell its story. From volcanic ash to frozen tundra, these incredible finds are our direct line to planets long gone. They are not just bones. They are captured moments. If you enjoyed this journey through deep time, please give this video a like and subscribe to Winds of Thought for more explorations of our planet's hidden stories. The past is waiting just beneath our feet.